One of these four items is the new 2021 Apple TV 4K. Can you tell which one? Well, let's use the process of elimination. We know it's not the black box on the left, as older Apple TVs are shorter. We know it's not the one on the right. That's a hockey puck. That leaves two possibilities. Is it the one on the left, or is it the one on the right? Can you tell the difference? It's really hard to judge from the outside, especially when they look so similar. But even when using them, it can be tough to tell the difference between the first generation 4K model and the new 2021 Apple TV. The new one is essentially a dedicated YouTube/Crossy Road machine. At least that's how I've been using it since I got it. I looked through the list of available games and I didn't see much that motivated me to download it. The Apple TV store clearly isn't as lively as the iPhone or iPad. This was surprising to me as the Apple TV almost feels like a game console. It has games like Sonic the Hedgehog, but since it doesn't include a game controller, a lot of the apps are limited. Developers have to make a choice, restrict the controls to a few buttons on the standard Apple TV remote, or hope that the players will splurge for a proper game controller. Also, the new Apple TV is not cheap. At $200 for the 64GB version, it's hard to justify the premium price compared to its competitors. The Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K is only $50. That too can run Crossy Road and YouTube. And with the Apple TV at $200, that's entering into cheap laptop territory. As another alternative to the Apple TV, you could connect an old computer to your TV and get way more flexibility. As an example, I previously used an old laptop running Linux and used this handheld keyboard. Not only did that get me access to a full web browser, the laser pointer doubles as a cat toy. Where's Safari? That would be the killer app for the Apple TV. However, even without a web browser, it's hard to beat the simplicity of the Apple TV. I press one button on the new remote and it turns on the Apple TV and the attached TV. Very convenient. There's no USB port, which makes it harder to charge the remote. That new remote is really good though. Even after using the Apple TV daily, playing lots of Crossy Road for nearly 2 months, the battery life was over 50%. It charged up to 99% in a few hours. That's way less annoying than replacing those CR2032 batteries. The new remote feels way better too. It's solid. The buttons are hard to press for gaming though. They're not light like a keyboard, a traditional TV remote, or even a game controller. It's a solid click. The newer Apple TV remote is a lot like the older Apple TV remote. I really enjoyed the 2013 Apple TV, and I used it for as long as I could, but eventually many of the apps stopped working. If the YouTube app kept working on the older Apple TV, I would have kept using it. However, upgrading to the 2021 model was beneficial. YouTube videos did seem sharper, even at the same 1080p resolution, so that was nice. Yet, getting the new model was not the same feeling as getting a new game console. Crossy Road is a game from 2014. 2014! It's a new game to me, but it's not a new game. Even compared to iPhones, there's usually a compelling feature that warrants upgrading. What's that feature here? Sure, there are little changes, but is the average person going to care about things like Wi-Fi 6? Maybe, but maybe not. So it took me a while to find that missing feature, something that people would really care about. And that feature is YouTube. A lot of effort goes into creating the 4K videos on Phottix TV. That's how I learned that the new Apple TV was worth the upgrade. I was shocked to learn that my videos were not playing in 4K on the previous version of the Apple TV. Until this point, I hadn't really looked to check the quality, but once I noticed, it was quite disappointing. I even tried switching cables, disbelieving that a 4K device was stuck at 1080p. Nope, it wasn't the HDMI cable. So if you have the 2017 model and you're happy with it, you're probably okay for another few years. The remote is the big upgrade for the 2021 model, and you can buy that separately. However, if you're looking to get the new Apple TV, or you're upgrading from the now obsolete 2013 model, the newer one is probably worth the extra money. That's how I looked at making the decision. While the Apple TV HD is only $150, and it now includes the snazzy new remote, it has the much older A8 chip and only includes 32GB of storage. If you're okay with less storage, then you can save $20 on the newer model. The 2021 can be purchased with 32 or 64GB of storage. This means only $30 separates the two machines. That's years of difference in technology. I didn't like watching my 2013 Apple TV slowly become obsolete, so I picked the newer model to put some more distance between such events. In summary, here's what's good and what's not so good about the 2021 Apple TV 4K. First, we'll start with the good. It's a great update to the remote, which is way better than the previous model. I like that the new remote returns to that classic Apple TV design, but without the burden of buying batteries. It's really the only solution if you're into Apple's ecosystem. As an example, I downloaded Crossy Road for Apple TV, and it showed up on my iPad and iPhone. There are other benefits with the ecosystem too, like QuickTime video recording. It was hard for me to make this video for you. I was fumbling with cables and a video capture device until I learned that I could simply use QuickTime. Very nice. The A12X Bionic chip is very powerful. Apparently it makes a difference with viewing YouTube videos, and perhaps this will lead to better gaming on the Apple TV in the future. And now, here's what's not so good about the Apple TV. There's a premium price tag. If you're spending the $200 on an Apple TV, it's likely because you're already in the Apple ecosystem. If you don't have any other Apple gadgets, it's tough to justify the higher cost. There's no USB port. Even the hidden Lightning port is gone. This makes it a bit of a chore to charge the remote. It also limits the Apple TV from taking advantage of USB devices. There's no built-in web browser. Something like Safari would make an Apple TV a must-have device. If the Nintendo Wii could have a web browser back in 2006, there's no technical reason for the Apple TV to be without one. There's not a big difference from the previous version. Seriously, I asked the question, is this 4K, way too many times while making this video. If you have an older TV, an older HDMI cable, or content that is not
ultra high definition,
then you're not utilizing the full power of the new Apple TV. There's a lack of apps and games. Sure, I play Crossy Road a lot. I also like games like Sonic. I'm sure there are plenty of other good games that I missed too, but it's nowhere near a Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation for gaming. Or is it? An Apple Arcade review is planned as a future video for Photix TV. Wow, that's a lot of misses, huh? It's not that I don't like the Apple TV. I think it's great actually. However, it seems intentionally limited. The A12X Bionic chip is quite powerful. There are so many things that could be done with the Apple TV, and yet I don't make apps for the Apple TV. Should I be doing that? It would be nice if the Apple TV did more, but this is not a new issue. Apparently I've been writing about this problem since 2011. Today it's a catch-22. Developers don't make apps for the Apple TV because it's not as popular, and it's not as popular because developers don't make apps for it. This is a generalization, of course, but something's clearly wrong here. Perhaps I should get involved. You can let me know in the comments. Are you interested in a series of videos about making a game for the Apple TV? Anyway, even though it's expensive compared to its competitors, and even though it doesn't do as much as I would like, the 2021 Apple TV is a good upgrade.